At long last, the search for Valerie Tindall, which had been going on for almost 6 months, has reached its tragic conclusion. One of the sources claims that the body of Valerie Tindall, who was 17 years old at the time, was found on Tuesday afternoon, hidden inside a barrel on the property of her neighbor. The barrel was buried beneath a pile of rubble. The discovery was made barely 100 yards or less from the back door of her family's home. A girl who had been missing for 6 months was discovered buried in the yard of a neighbor. She was 17 years old. After being reported missing in Indiana for about 6 months, the decomposing remains of Valerie Tindall, who was 17 years old at the time, were discovered buried in the yard of her next-door neighbor and family friend. This led to the arrest of the former neighbor on charges of murder. On Tuesday, the body of Tindall was discovered by the police inside a handmade chest that had been buried beneath a pile of garbage on the property of Patrick Scott, who is 59 years old and lives in Arlington. The location of the chest was less than 100 yards away from the residence of the teenager. According to court documents that were reported by the station Fox 59, Scott, who was not only Tindall's neighbor but also her employer, allegedly revealed to detectives that he killed the teen by strangling her with his belt, which he then continued to wear after the incident. According to the allegations made by Scott, he told the authorities, "I put it around her neck and I held onto it until she quit." Then, according to the allegations, he constructed a box out of wooden planks that he purchased from Home Depot, reportedly placed Tindall's body inside the box, wrapped it in plastic, screwed the box shut, and buried it in his yard. On Tuesday, the skeletal remains of Valerie Tindall, who was 17 years old at the time, were found in the yard of her neighbor. This discovery came more than 5 months after she was reported missing. According to the documents filed with the court, the person suspected of murdering Tindall maintained that he had no intention of killing her and that it just kind of happened after the teenager allegedly attempted to entice and blackmail him into purchasing a car for her. Other members of his family include a wife, a daughter, and a granddaughter. It was reported that Scott responded to the question of whether or not the fact that he had killed the girl concerned him by saying, "Well, I wasn't too crazy about it." Dorm room double murder suspect was a student at the University of Colorado and the victim's roommate, according to the police. In a statement released on Thursday, the county coroner confirmed that the remains that were discovered on Scott's property on Tuesday were indeed those of Tindall. In a press conference, Sheriff Alan Rice stated, "This is not the outcome we had all hoped for, but I want to stress to the public that this case is far from over." Rice also stated that the investigation is not yet complete. A search for justice will be made. It has been alleged that Tindall's boss and neighbor, Patrick Scott, who is 59 years old, is responsible for her death. A murder accusation and an obstruction of justice charge were brought against Scott. On Thursday, he made his first appearance in the proceedings of the Rush County Circuit Court, where he was denied bond. On the 7th of June, Tindall informed her parents that she would be going to work. She was employed by Scott's lawn mowing service, and according to the paperwork filed in the court, he was the last one to see her alive until she passed away. Due to the fact that Tindall did not return home on that particular day, he was reported missing. On October 11, cadaver-sniffing dogs reported experiencing the odor of decomposition in a pond that was located close to Scott's property. However, a search did not uncover any more evidence. As a result of a tip that was eventually responsible for the macabre discovery that took place on Tuesday, one of the dog handlers informed the authorities that water is known to retain odor and that the stench could have originated from runoff into the pond. Police in Arlington, Indiana discovered the body of Tindall, which was in the process of rotting, inside a box that had been buried on Scott's property. The police, armed with shovels, dug up the rectangular box that was wrapped in a tarp and sealed with duct tape from Scott's yard. Among the human remains that were found inside were fingernails that had been painted with orange gloss, according to the records. A photo that was uploaded to social media on June 7 allegedly showed Tindall with orange nails, according to the police. While speaking with WRTV-TV, Tindall's mother, Sheena Sandifer, expressed that her daughter and the rest of their family have faith in Scott. Each of them shared a connection. It was reported by Sandifer that they were pals. Despite the fact that she was employed by him, she also spent time with his family. It was his granddaughter who was her buddy, and we traveled with them to other locations. In a court document that was submitted on November 30th, Scott, who is 59 years old, is said to have told the police that Tindall had left her home on June 7, 2023, in order to go to work. In the course of her commute to work, Scott reported to the authorities that Tindall had arranged to meet him just across from Shelbyville High School. Scott is said to have driven her back to his house, which was located directly behind Tindall's residence, at the time that she vanished, according to the court filing. He allegedly told the police that when he and Tindall got back to his house, Tindall was coming on to him in an attempt to blackmail him into purchasing her a car. This occurred after Scott was arrested and his Miranda rights were read to him. The entire set of accusations against Patrick Scott was dismissed, and he consented to serve 57 years in jail for the crime of murder. Additionally, he will be required to make compensation to Tindall's family in the amount of $10,000. A hearing date has not been scheduled by the judge in order to deliberate on whether or not to accept the plea bargain. You should subscribe to our channel if you want to watch more of us. Keep your loved ones really close. We appreciate you watching.